Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we're covering Digimon Adventure: 2020, Episode 30, The Mega Digimon War Greymon. I'm May, and I'm joined by the lovely Quinn.
Hi. How's it going?
And, of course, the lovely Stevie.
Hello.
Coolios. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into the synopsis for this episode. Garudamon is fighting Megadramon and destroys them pretty easily until they all actually decide to attack at once. So I've got to commend Megadramon for actually all being a group and also attacking all at once and sort of having some strategy of one grabs one side, the other grabs the other side, and some of them just shoot. That's something that I feel happens a surprisingly low amount of times in Digimon, where Digimon actually seem the evil Digimon seem to coordinate their attacks. So I've got to commend them. But it's okay because she obliterates them all. And then you see Sora kind of pop out from behind her shoulder. And I just really want to know how she manages to survive Shadow Wing, where Garudamon is basically engulfed in flame. And Sora is just hanging out on her shoulder.
So much.
She's basically between her shoulder and her wings, which I would say would be definitely on fire. So Sora somehow survived being burnt alive. I really want to know if there's a little shield around them, a protective bubble. Even though that would make no sense about where this bubble came from, maybe from the Digivice or something, I don't know. It's a lot better than just they somehow survived being destroyed. I don't know. It's weird, right?
It sure is, and we're just gonna... I don't know, it was a thing that we briefly paid attention to and we commemorated them on that we just now don't even pretend to care about. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, I feel Taichi's basically always on the shoulder, and I think that's really cool. Except for the fact that a lot of the time when Taichi's on the shoulder of Greymon or Metal Greymon, he should be dead. At least this episode kind of pretended that he should be dead for 5 seconds, and I think a few times we've had him being thrown off the shoulder. I think in episode 1 and in a few episodes ago he was actually just thrown off the shoulder. But a lot of the time it's just Taichi's just standing there and should completely be obliterated, but is not, which is weird. Anyway, so Metal Greymon is destroying a lot of Alomon, and the Woodmon are still watching with fear, and Lotmon is just watching. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that Lotmon's going to, turn out to be evil, but I'm not sure how much of that is because
based on the next time on, it looks like probably gonna be another Hikari.
Mm-hmm.
A holy Digimon who doesn't talk, apparently.
Yeah, which is just... I'm so glad that Patamon actually seems to be something. I'm glad that Patamon seems to have, some personality beyond just staring. I'm glad that Takeru seems to have some personality besides just staring. I get, the staring into space is, magical and, ooh, what's going on here? Something mystical's happening. Ooh, magic. But it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch a character just stare on into just emptiness.
If you had me do it for 5 minutes and had people think it was out of character, I'd be down with it. Having it happen for most of a season so that you can go, oh yeah, she's just like that. Okay.
There's being mysterious and there's being boring.
Yeah, definitely. And
the anime stepped up to say Hikari is just boring or has been under the compulsion of magic for her entire life. Either of which is way too wild.
I hope that she's just been possessed with homeostasis her entire life, or if we're actually going to do the prequel movie with the giant Greymon and Agumon through Tokyo. I wonder if we're going to be doing one of those, and if that was when Hikari was possessed by homeostasis. I'd be totally down for that, but I just don't considering how weirdly hollow this whole season has been so far. I don't expect them to just pull out homeostasis. Even the original series barely touched it. They didn't name homeostasis. They just sort of said just some entity, and it was only brought up in one episode. So I don't think that the hollow version of the original series is... And the original series isn't that great. It's great if you're 8, but not if you're actually thinking about what's going on. But, yeah,
I
don't
wish
know.
I
I don't
could interview
expect
an
them to.
8-year-old about this show, because I would love to know what someone's first time with Digimon being this feels like.
Yeah, if I had like access to like a I don't have children and like I don't have any like 8-year-old relatives or anything. I just would love to bring them on just to sort of say, hey kid, what do you think about this? Would they just say, oh yeah, it's really great, I love the action scenes? They probably wouldn't put a lot of thought into it. But again, I can only assume what a child would say, but I would really like to hear what like actual children are saying about this show. Because I'm
Same.
assuming that they wouldn't have like, I mean, I loved Zero Two and I loved Frontier when I was a kid.
I
Like,
would like to
I
take
thought
a
the stories
moment
were fine.
while I'm thinking about it, and I think we're approximately in the right area of the plot to talk about Koshiro briefly, just updating us on the NASA plot, because the NASA plot is, again, pretty wild in ways that feel way too much.
Oh yeah, this is the part in the plot. So just please go ahead with your
Okay.
Koshiro update.
So this feels very Rockman XA, Mega Man EXE, with its just like weirdly convoluted plots to use apps to destroy the world and just setting things on fire constantly, but barely being able to fix it with your VPET.
Yeah.
Things got wild, and it really feels like we're doing that with our, oh no, we took out the satellites, but what does that do? Well, it turns out what we're doing is we're going to crash all the satellites into the ISS, the International Space Station, because the ISS apparently is big enough to actually be a meteor when it hits Earth. But I'm like 90% sure that, you know, being big but also deeply not aerodynamic, the ISS would just burn up on re-entry. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a
I think
wild...
it's more like
We're supposed to be
the debris.
threatened by this, and like my scientist ass over here is sitting here thinking about how, oh god, we're gonna lose GPS. Like, all the boats are gonna be off signal forever now. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
go back to Morse code for a minute.
like it is kind of weird that like I don't know, maybe it's just me not thinking about this much, but I feel like losing satellites, like people survived before we had like GPS, so I don't think it's like
Oh yeah,
I don't
and
feel like all the technology in the world, like boats would stop working if all of a sudden
no, we
GPS
do...
wasn't there. I'm sure they have fail safes.
We definitely have backups and fail safes for all of that. But in terms of like actual impact on the world, all of the satellites going down would be a big enough deal to probably, you know, close down the stock market for a hot minute. Whereas, you know, a meteor taking out maybe a city would definitely be a big deal, especially depending on where they decided it was gonna go down. If we're going
Well, knowing the
randomly, it's
plot-
gonna be the ocean.
No, knowing the plot, it's going to be Tokyo, Japan, because that's the only place that's the only place that anything ever
we
happens
did
in
Singapore.
this. It's like, yeah, well, that was surprising.
That
And
it was
it's like,
wild.
Like in Doctor Who, hey, where are the aliens going to invade? Wales? The United Kingdom? Like, you know, that sort of general area. Like, of course, that's the perfect place to invade. Why not? Like, it's just, like, it's always
Obviously,
wherever the main
aliens are
characters
gonna
live.
invade at Buff
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's just that
I want
that's
to
just
remember
that's
that
just
Buff
be like
Jesus
that.
exists for a second. That's all.
Yeah, we all want to remember Buff. I remember Buff Jesus exists every day. Whenever I go to the gym, I'm just like, what would Buff
What
Jesus,
would Jesus do?
Yeah, what would Jesus do? He would lift all the weights at the gym. Like, Jesus hit the
He
gym,
would
there were no
not
survivors.
skip leg day.
No, like, he's never skipped any day. He's just, I think he just lives at the
No.
gym. I think that's what, it wasn't a manger, it was just the inn's gym. Anyway, Buff Jesus is cool. Anyway, the plot. I just want to point out that Koshiro says he's having some friend look up some things online. I'm just like, is it Willis?
Nice. Is it Willis? Please let it be Willis and or Rio.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it'd be Rio, because Rio's like, at this point in the original show, wasn't a sort of, well, quote unquote chosen child until like after the events of Adventure. But I'm down for like Rio and Koshiro being friends in this universe.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Taichi and Rio would be friends, because Taichi says that everyone's his friend.
It's true. But I could see them meeting because, yeah, that's who Koshiro has been having help him.
Yeah, and it's just Rio, and he's just hanging out. Like, he is still hanging out with Millenniumon.
Yeah, no, we're confirmed with next episode. We're doing Millennium Mon. It was already
Yep.
pretty confirmed, but that's really for sure now, and I would be pretty surprised if Rio didn't show up at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, I
Let's finish
I
the
think I'd be
synopsis before we get into predictions.
no,
I
just,
think.
just quickly, like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not. I'm kind of worried that we're not going to get, like, where did Millenniumon come from, because we've not really had where did any of these Digimon come from.
That's
It
true.
would be nice if we had, like, some lore for where, because Millenniumon does have lore behind him, as we've mentioned before, but it's just, I didn't expect to go down that path. But anyway, so Koshiro is worried that Digimon will control the boats again, I guess.
Not the boats.
Not the boat. I don't want to have any more boat plot. I'm done with the boats.
We're
But the boats are my
gonna
favourite
do
character.
Lots of small disasters for a while, and
Yeah.
I was down for it for like a minute when we were setting up that Koshiro was smart, but I'm ready for him to be like a tactician, please.
Yeah, like, and also, like, it's just been the same sort of thing, like, oh, we have more trouble in the human world, but it's just the same sort of trouble we've already seen before. Like, it feels like it went in a good direction, now it's just like, oh, it's this again. Great.
How do we do stakes? Do we have meaningful and well-written characters with personal issues and families? Or do we just have another thing that's
Hell
going to
no.
blow up?
Yeah,
Another
like,
thing that's gonna sell some toys.
I just want the characters to acknowledge the fact that they've got family members just once. Like, the kids haven't said, oh, I hope my parents aren't worried. Like, that was a big thing in the original. Like, they would always say, oh, my parents would be so worried right now. And then they go back, they're like, oh, time hasn't moved. But now we know that time is still moving. Like,
Well,
and the kids are already in trouble.
They set it up in a really annoying, like, wishy-washy way where they're like, oh yeah, it varies. It's literally whatever the plot demands would be most convenient.
Yeah, it's just
And that's
so, like...
really annoying me.
It's so... but it's also must be easier to just write, okay, time doesn't move, but I guess they had to make time move in order to, like, get updates from the human world.
Yeah, well,
Which I guess...
we did
mean-
the thing where we had really slow updates from the real world that we could just check every half hour, but it was still the same news update. And that was
Yeah,
convenient.
and now it's one-to-one.
And now
like,
it's one-to-one,
it
and
seems-
that's convenient.
But without any, like, reasoning, like, at least between Adventure and 02, like, they explained why the time didn't change. Or did change. Like, it went from going super slow to being one-to-one. And they at least explained that so that when the kids went to the digital world in 02, actual time changed. Like, at least they explained that. Here we're just like, oh, it just be like that. And I guess you could say, oh, it's a reflection of what the internet is now as opposed to what the internet was in, like, the late 90s. And this is just like, oh, it's slow sometimes because of...
It does...
King.
Yeah, like, it does feel like, especially with Koshiro regularly talking about how they're trying to generate data by causing, power outages and things. I'm like, you could also just knock out Twitter for 10 minutes.
Mm.
Like, you don't have to destroy things. We could have a non-destructive plot and be like, yeah, let's let them destroy Twitter. Like, what if we just left them alone for a little while?
Atmon was like, what if people started tweeting things, but it wasn't actually them, it was an Atmon? Like,
Yeah, or...
Atmon was good because it was just, like, mild inconveniences.
Well,
It was just like, oh, this
or-
app, the navigation app doesn't work, and I ended up, like, in a dangerous place. Like,
Yeah.
that was... Like, I would much prefer, like, minor, annoying inconveniences to, oh, the world's gonna end! Like, I don't know, it just, why?
For reasons that don't make sense and probably never will, apparently you can power an evolution by packet corruption. And so yeah, I don't see why it is that we couldn't make a plot point of, oh yeah, they're just doing anything that gets more tweets or, pick some arbitrary metric and just blame fake news. Just say that's the problem for a while. We're almost there. Like, just make it the plot point.
Yeah.
And then stop checking on it for a bit.
Anyway, back to Taichi and Sora. Taichi and Metal Greymon are going to stall the Digimon, while Sora can help save the Woodmon. And by stall, Taichi means destroy, as that is what he basically proceeds to do. Paramon then shows up, which is really nice to see again. We've only really seen him in like a few different things. He was in Last Evolution briefly. He was in the prequel movie, or the prequel episode, I guess, depending on where in the world you're from. And it's nice to see Paramon again. Metal Greymon attacks Paramon so that Sora isn't discovered, and while they're fighting, Koshiro discovers that all satellites are going to collide with the International Space Station, and I feel like he was wondering about if he's overlooked something, and that seems like a hell of a thing not to check. Like, oh, all the satellites are doing a thing. I'm going to see where they end up. I'm going to follow their trajectory. Well, like, I don't know.
They covered it with a sentence, but they basically said, oh yeah, I looked at one flight path at a time. And I'm like, yeah, but as soon as you put up two of them, you see that they intersect.
Yeah, like, it feels like a hell of a thing to overlook for someone who's meant to be, like, the smart character. But, like, he's still 9. Like, I'm not going to, like, or 9 or 10. I'm not going to, like, drag on this child.
Well, what's wild is that that's supposed to be non-public information so far. Like,
yeah.
He figured it out at the same time as all the adults did, which feels really unreasonable.
Well, I can't remember whether or not, like, Willis was, like, a super genius hacker in the original, or if it was just the dub. But, yeah, wasn't he a super genius hacker? So we just say, oh, Willis gave him this information. Like, it just sort of helps explain things. But again, like...
Yeah, I appreciate the way that we specified that he has someone else doing it. I wish...
Yeah.
God, it should be Ken.
Oh, if it was Ken, that'd be good. But he wasn't evil until after the events of Adventure, I think.
Right. So he could be good.
It's Sam. It's Sam.
It could totally be Sam. Anyway, Stevie, how are you? You haven't talked in like 10 minutes.
Do you want to predict who his friend is? If it's just a random person on the internet, or a friend in Australia, which is what the original had Willis be in our war game.
Were you the original?
It's Stevie.
I don't know.
Stevie's quiet because Koshiro's friend is actually Stevie.
Please, I don't want to be associated with this series.
I'm really tired of being so tired of this series, but...
Me too. Like, I'm tired of being hollow.
Yeah.
Like, it's
we got to War Greymon, and I don't... I'm like actively sorry that that's true.
Okay, I have exactly the fantastic metaphor, I guess, sort of. I don't know. It's still very early. I haven't unlocked my complete vocabulary yet. But you know when you go to, like, during the Easter time, and you go to the shops, and there's, like, a giant Easter egg, and it's, like, your favourite brand of, like, your favourite type of chocolate, like a Turkish Delight or Caramella or something, and it's, like, this pretty big egg, and you're just like, oh, this is really exciting. It's, like, an egg, and then, like, you crack open this egg, but it's not actually, like, full of Turkish Delight. It's just, like, a hollow egg. Like, this is what this show is. It's just, like, it looks so good from the outside, but when you open it, it's just, like, it's just empty.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I feel about this show.
We've had so many evolutions, and it hasn't meant anything. And I think I've found a way. I'm saving it for predictions to make some of that work a little bit, but it's... So far, it is not working. No.
Well, onto the synopsis so we can jump to those predictions as soon as possible. Metal Greymon and Paramon are fighting, and Metal Greymon mode changes to Ultros mode, but Paramon does an incredible move called Getting Out of the Way, which I don't think we've seen much, and just dodges Ultros mode's attack. Then we get the appearance of the Black Lightning, which calls Paramon to evolve to Mega, and this evolution is just Crossmon, which is... kind of wild because this Digimon actually debuted in the year 2000 in the Japanese D3 toy, by the way. So that was kind of a weird, like, they're just pulling out old Digimon, which is kind of great. Like, Crossmon has showed up in Cross Wars, I think, once, but not really as like a main sort of focus. So it's just kind of wild to get all these Digimon who have appeared before, but just have not ever had that much love. And then Crossmon then attacks Taichi and Metal Greymon, and surely Taichi has died because he was on the shoulder of a Digimon and has just been basically blown up. And for a second, it looks like he actually does die. Taichi's shirt has actually got some torn sleeves from the attack, something which is definitely magically fixed by the end of the episode, by the way.
Sure
And
was.
Taichi wakes up... Yeah, sure, it's so weird, like... At least wait until next episode to magically, like, visit the magic Digimon tailor and just have your shirt fixed. Like, did he just pull one out of his bag or something, or out of his pocket? Like, he just has, like, a new shirt? It's just magically fixed. So Taichi wakes up floating in a void and sees his crest, and Metal Greymon is basically frozen in time in that. And then the explosion happens, and then we finally get to see what Hikari is up to. She's still flying on the Black Meldromon, and then she finally decides to ask Skull Knightmon where she's going, but gets no reply because characters in this show sure do like to be silent and stare off into the distance.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a good point to
remember that Lotmon is
to like say something. Yeah, I mean,
Do you mean Hikari
I'm
standing
starting to-
I
on?
sure didn't.
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of worried that like
Lotmon says as many words
The-
as Stevie.
yeah, I'm worried
Why you
that
gotta
we're
call
just
me out
going
like
to
that?
I'm trying to get
Millennium
you to talk a little more. God, that's all. Anyway, no.
I'll put
understand
effort
if you
into
feel it.
my critique of the show when this show puts effort into itself.
That's fair. That's fair.
Please don't pick an inanimate object as your favorite character.
Budmon wasn't an inanimate object.
I mean, I like the Woodmon. Like, to be
Budmon.
fair, like I like Woodmon.
I said Budmon. Woodmon said things.
Oh, Budmon? Oh, okay. So you said Woodmon. Like, Woodmon's good. But yeah, Budmon's a good
Budmon.
choice too from last week.
Buddies are good.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
picked yet,
anyway.
but I'll think about it. In the meantime, let's finish up the synopsis.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just
We keep
just a
going
brief
off
thing is
topic.
I'm worried that Skull Knightmon isn't like Tailmon or Black Meldromon isn't Tailmon, and they're just straight up taking her to Millenniumon, and that's why we're getting Millenniumon next episode.
God,
Like-
you're right.
Which is so like it's such a missed opportunity to like do something with her just being basically fine with being kidnapped and not trying to flee at all.
Yeah,
Like what a missed opportunity.
I literally, I was thinking as we finally got an update with Hikari, that it had been that it felt like really, really weird that we hadn't gotten an update, and then I got one and was like, that was the least possible update. It
wasn't
the
an
show
update, it was
reminded
just, like-
me that they know she's alive.
Yeah, we got like a hey, remember this character exists, because basically the show doesn't. And then yeah, I don't know, it's like such a boring update because it's just like something we already knew was happening was that she was on Skull Knightmon. So it's just a reminder that she's on Skull Knightmon. We didn't get this last episode. She's been gone for like 2 episodes. I don't know why we had to have such a nothing update and just
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably the most she's spoken in the whole show.
it is.
Like, she actually had a sentence, but she didn't get a reply to that sentence, so...
Yeah, in conversations with Hikari, at most one person can talk.
Yeah,
It's the
or like
law.
she says, Taichi is okay. She's just vague. Like, this was the only time she wasn't, like, vague, and she was actually asking, like, a genuine question. Where are we going? So,
To
anyway...
the plot.
We see that Taichi and Agumon are somehow still alive, and I'm really surprised that Taichi actually asks Agumon if he's alive. Like, we're going to actually acknowledge that they were straight up blown up, which is nice. And then Taichi remembers that War Greymon's silhouette from before, and then says that he remembers being bored a few episodes ago, so that's nice that he finally remembers that. And then Taichi thinks of everyone else and remembers his sister as well. So I guess the Yagami curse of like forgetting that your family members exist if they're not directly in front of you is finally lifted.
Briefly.
Yeah, briefly.
Character
Taichi and Agumon
progression.
then encounter the progression, yeah. The horde of Alomon again, and we get a bunch of clips from the whole season, which is pretty cool. So we get like flashbacks of Agumon fighting, and then Agumon evolves to Greymon, and then we get a few flashbacks of Greymon fighting, and then Greymon evolves to Metal Greymon, and then we get flashbacks of like
It's
Metal
so many
Greymon and Ultras
flashbacks,
mode.
And it just highlights
Yeah, we get a lot-
that Taichi has learned nothing.
I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, I know it's kind of silly, but I just really appreciate these flashbacks. I'm like, oh yeah, it shows that how far they've come and all the evolutions. I don't know. I like it.
Do you remember that time we
then-
had a fight
I
and
just-
got bigger?
Yeah, like I mean, it does happen, but I don't know. I don't mind it. So
it's
we
supposed to be an
Metal-
emotional
oh.
character beat. They play it as something I'm supposed to remember. God, remember when this show did that? Instead, I'm just like, hey, oh right, that fight was back when the show was good, and then remember when that
Remember
one
when
was
we had hope?
not? I don't even remember this fight. Like,
yeah, like a lot of
it's
it's just
been-
like, well, this was bad.
It's so much stock footage that could have gone to Sora doing anything.
I mean, I'm glad that, like, I was really worried before I watched this episode that in order to make it a 1v1 with War Greymon against Crossmon, or I guess Metal Greymon against Crossmon as well, I was worried that they would somehow, like, put Sora as, like, a captive or injured or something. I'm really, like, glad and somewhat surprised that Sora was just off escorting the Woodmon, Budmon, and Lopmon to safety. Like, I'm glad that, like, they gave her a role that wasn't just, well, Sora's, like, somehow incapacitated for this fight and can't, like, do anything. Like, really appreciate that they didn't go down that route. Like, I just, it's a lot better than, for some reason, she can't fight. So I kind of appreciated that, but only because, like, my expectations for this show are so low.
At least she was a damsel off screen and not a damsel in distress.
Yeah, she was off screen, and that's a lot better than being a damsel in distress. Like, she was still doing something. She was still being a hero. She was still part of the plan. I'm just glad that it was not as bad as it could have been. And that's another, like, tagline for this show is just, like, it's not as bad as it could have been, but it's still not as good as it could have been. It's just, it exists.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
mediocre.
Ultras mode... Yep. Yeah. So Ultras mode and Crossmon are fighting now, and while I do like how Taichi is riding on the shoulders of his Digimon, it makes the fight seem weird, especially whenever he gets attacked.
Yeah.
Metal Greymon's arm is destroyed, which is pretty cool. I like when we actually, like, destroy things. It makes the fight seem a lot more serious. And his arm just gets basically, his non-Ultras mode arm gets, like, completely torn off, which is, like he just has, like, a stub, and it's kind of cool, like, to actually show this fight is actually a fight.
It's very much a we animated a manga kind of show, except there's no manga, which is wild to me.
Yeah, like, through all the things that, like, the negative things I have to say about this show, I definitely super appreciate the fact that we're actually seeing damage to the Digimon. Like, I can't remember any season of Digimon which has actually shown this level of, like, well, arms just get torn off. Like, that seems like... I know it's not a new thing because the manga always had it. Like, V-Tamer constantly had, like, just gore. And Digimon Next, which is another one of the manga, just had, like, just straight up, like, arms getting pulled off. But I can't remember any bits of the anime that ever went this far into, like, actual damage. Like, it was always just, like, collateral damage. It was never just, like, damage to the Digimon. Like, Gargomon in Tamer's got, like, his face scratched, and that's it. Like, I can't remember, like, no, Gargomon didn't get, like, his gun arm pulled off. Like, I don't know, it is something that I have to, like, commend the show for remembering that Digimon can get hurt. And I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting something from another season, but this just seems a lot heavier with the gore than other shows, you know.
It's a lot of things that we praised at the beginning of the show that now feel like the show's only notes. And
yeah, like, at least they have those. At least it's not just, like, without any things that I can compliment at all.
I mean, that's fair. I wish that
it would be nice to...
Our standards had not fallen pretty drastically over the past 10 episodes.
Yeah. And which they definitely have. Like, I know that a few episodes we probably should have given 5s. I mean, I think I probably gave 5s for the... Like, the Mimi Evolution episodes were still probably the highlights of the show.
Yeah,
like,
God,
the Gargomon bit, that was great.
Evolutions.
I don't... Well, we've still got Rosemon, presumably, so that'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get, like, a shot of Taichi, who is, like, on Metal Greymon again, and he must have visited the magical Digimon tailor because now his sleeves have been magically fixed. And I just want to point out something that, like, happened throughout the episode, but I really appreciate that we have Vegemon just squealing the entire time commands to the Alomon army, and I just really can't wait for, like, if we ever get an English dub of this where they just give Vegemon a personality, because I cannot imagine them keeping him just screaming.
This episode could have been improved with some comedy dialogue, or any dialogue.
I want the same Vegemon voice that we had in the original adventure.
Definitely.
Vegemon
Like,
in this
just
episode sounded like a vending machine to me.
Yeah, it was weird to have him scream, like...
Yeah.
Because he's clearly giving commands or something. And Digimon really who give commands in the show are given personalities, usually.
It's really strange to me that we've definitely had a distinction between Digimon who can talk and Digimon who can't, and we've just kind of decided it's okay to kill the ones who can't. And then this is really straddling a line of, like, it's definitely not speaking, Japanese, but it's clearly giving commands that the other ones can order and, can understand, and we're just gonna be okay with murdering all of those people, apparently. Also, we nuked a forest this week.
Forest is
Yeah,
fine,
but it's
though.
fine because the Digimon left.
The forest was untouched, same as Taichi.
Apparently, which is also... That just brings up further questions.
Oh, there's a lot of questions that are brought up through this show so far. Anyway, Crossmon is attacking again, and Taichi asks Metal Greymon if he's ever tried actually trying a bit harder, and Metal Greymon's like, trying? What a concept! And then...
I wish the show would try.
Yeah, I wish the show did try, and that was also not that good either. Anyway, so yeah, we get a shot of Sora that saved the Woodmon, and then we get a new insert song which feels very Digimon. Like this song, like if you would have told me, oh, this song was actually in the original adventure, I'd be like, yep, checks out. Like this song just seemed so.
It was a modest bop.
Like.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
like
a bop,
break
but it
the
was...
chain or something.
Yeah, it was break, and I could tell that because that was said every second line was like break the chain. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm breaking the chain. I'm breaking this chain. I don't know. It just, I mean, as much as I love like Be the Winners and everything, all the songs that have been in this show, this one seems like, I don't know. This one seems like a Digimon song. Like it seems like an older Digimon song, even though it's not. And it's just, it's so nice. As much as I love Be the Winners, because I'm just like, yeah, I want to punch something. This song makes me want to punch. Like, makes me want to, like, fight. I don't know. I'm just a big boy with lots of energy. That's me. With watching my shonen animes. So yeah, we get a new song, and then we get to see Wargreymon win the fight, and then the episode ends, and we get the analyzer with by far like my favorite line in like the entire episode, which is just like Koshiro saying that Dark Knightmon is stylish after evolving, but when he wrote that down, Kabuterimon like deleted what he said and says that he was much more stylish, and it's just. I like a few things about this. I like the fact that, like, Kabuterimon is jealous. I like the fact it was Kabuterimon and not Tentomon. That feels kind of like imagine, like, a giant beetle, like, tapping away at your keyboard. Like, a little beetle, like, that's, like, shorter than you. That's fine. If it's just this giant, like, monster beetle and he's just, like, tapping the delete key with, like, one tiny claw and he's just like, tap, 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 I am more stylish. Like, that'd be great. Like, I don't know, just... The Digimon Analyzer continues to be my favourite part in every episode because it has the most amount of character than the entire episode, and it's always Koshiro, and I'm glad that we get Koshiro being, like, useful.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about
happy.
Koshiro that he's allowed to speak, which is why he gets to narrate all the real world problems, but...
He's smart.
At least Koshiro is a good choice. I wish that
he has the laptop.
Everyone had that degree of dialogue. Like, why can't Sora have a cell phone?
No, she's a woman.
Then could she be taking selfies? Just like the women.
Oh my god!
Women's
How
with their
has
selfies.
Mimi not taken a selfie yet?
Oh,
what the is wrong with the show? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I will allow swearing when it comes to talking about Mimi. To be honest, but also like. I can totally imagine like TikTok and Mimi.
Yeah,
I don't know
Mimi
why.
with
Like,
a TikTok
or like
would be amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I want like
Mimi
like,
as okay boomer girl.
Yeah, just like anything. Just I mean, this show could do with the same thing that Atmon had, where it just references like how it's got phones now and everything's cool. I would totally adore, like, TikToker Mimi with, like... And she's got, like, a mass following, and... I don't know. I just think that'd be great. I don't know. I'm all for, like, this e-girl Mimi. So, while there weren't many in this episode, what were your highlights?
Wargreymon was
Just
pretty.
nothing? Oh, yeah, Wargreymon was, like... The whole, like, bit of animation after the Wargreymon, like, evolution just took a huge step up. Like, there were shadows. Like, they remembered that shadows exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they clearly saved some
Alomon
budget
had
for this, which, I mean, that's nice.
Yeah. Also, there was, like, weirdly, like, defined, like, Vegemon at one point when all the lights was going everywhere and he had, like, the shadows on him. Like, that was pretty cool. Like, I don't know. There was a nice use of shadows after that evolution, and the animation and budget in general, like, took a huge step up. It was weird.
Yeah, it's... like it's clearly what they saved their budget for, which I mean that's fine. It makes sense to do for War Greymon. It feels like this was a weird time to pull that out.
Yeah. Any other highlights? Because I really liked the fact that we had Sora just straight up just murder a whole heap of Megadramon.
Yeah, that's
Like,
fine.
Which makes her like it made her still seem strong. Like she didn't get like just put off to the sidelines. She for the whole episode she actually did a lot of fighting at the start, and it made her seem very strong. Which made it better that they just sort of said, okay, she's Sora and Biyomon are off like escorting the other Digimon. Because they do need somewhere to be escorted to. They can't just stand in the line of fire. It's just, I don't know, so I appreciated that they didn't just completely ignore that Sora and Garudamon are both very strong. And we had Garudamon wipe out a bunch of Digimon that Metal Greymon was like struggling with last episode. So that's nice.
Yeah.
I feel bad because it's highlights, but it still feels like they're going, okay, Sora, you've had your time in the limelight, but don't punch above your weight. This is still Taichi's show. Get back in your corner.
Very much
I
that.
absolutely agree with that. It's very much like they have to get rid of her, but at least they didn't get rid of her in like a bad way. Like they just sort of put her to the side, but
to
they
turn that
said,
into
hey,
a low
remember.
light for a second, how much better would this episode have been if Taichi just got beat down and then Sora turned around, flew back, and became Hoomon or whatever. And just
That'd be
wrecked.
so much better.
Yeah.
But it's not her allocated plot time.
I know, they really could have changed it up. It still would have been a subpar episode, but if Sora had gotten to be, the big hero for a second, and Taichi could have maybe not been amazing at everything.
Yeah, but I'm still hopeful for like maybe we get like her episode and it's good. Like that's all I want. I just want them to do Sora like in a good way, like just once. Like
I would really like that.
Yeah, she's just been so much like she's there. She's such a present character. She's very much there, but that's it. She's just there. Which is sad. At least, I mean, the only thing she's done is she pointed out that Hikari was there one time, and Hikari's mother realised that Sora was there and just left Hikari with Sora despite nothing ever happening after that moment until, like, the next day. I don't know. Some things have happened.
What's worse, the character that does nothing or the character that only exists to point out that there's a character doing nothing?
At least she pointed, like, definitely the latter. Like, at least she's there pointing out something. At least, like, she's involved in what's happening to some extent. Like, she's there. And also, I guess, this is kind of, like, a slide on the show, but, like, she's such a boring character. When she does anything, it feels like a big moment. Like last episode, I really liked last episode, but only because Sora and Garudamon actually did something. And the start of the episode, I was really like, I had high hopes for this episode in the first like 5 minutes, just because we have Garudamon defeating the Megadramon. Like, we've not seen so much of Sora and Garudamon that any time that they show up and do anything, I'm just like, oh, this is good. But that shouldn't be the case. Like, a character showing up and involving themselves in the plot and fighting should be a given. Like, that should just be happening, like, as a default. But the fact that I was surprised to see that they actually gave Garudamon some time in the fight, like, I just, like, come on. Like, it's good to see it there, but it would be good to have it there all the time, so I'm not surprised when it happens. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other highlights?
Crossmon's evolution
Lotmon is still
pretty
cute.
dope.
Lotmon is cute, and Crossmon is good. I'm glad that Parrotmon got to evolve. I like Parrotmon. I'm glad that Parrotmon showed up. Like, that's definitely... Parrotmon existing as a highlight. I like the design of just, like... It's a very simple design, but I really like it. Like, it's just a giant parrot, but it has legs and electricity powers. Like, that's so cool. I love Parrotmon. Parrotmon is actually probably one of my favourite Digimon that we never get to see. Like... What a cool design. And it's not too busy. There's not too much going on. It's just very much, what if we took this animal and gave it some slightly human characteristics and
a weird
also
metal
made
crotch
it
plate.
produce... Yeah, just like, I don't know. I'm really grasping at like turning anything into a positive, but I'm just really happy that we're actually having Parrotmon exist. I don't know. I like Parrotmon. I would really like to see more Parrotmon. I I mean, it makes sense that we had to evolve to Crossmon, because otherwise it's just a perfect against a perfect instead of a perfect against a mega. A perfect fighting a mega as well, and then it's much better to have like a mega against a perfect and a mega against a mega. But still, like, I was glad to see Paramon for the bit, and I'm glad that we actually, like, every time they bring in a Digimon that has been around for, like, 2 decades, but has never shown up in anything else, really, and I'm talking about Crossmon, obviously, it's so good. It's just like, hey, I'm glad that they're bringing in new Digimon, but I really appreciate old Digimon as well. I don't know, it's nice.
Yeah.
Low light time?
I have one last
Sure.
highlight, if you can call it that.
Oh, yep.
I like
Highlight
that
time?
War Greymon's in full colour now instead of just being piss yellow.
Oh, yeah. No, that is something I also appreciate.
War Greymon's evolution.
This is the
Appreciate.
third
was
time we've had
also-
War Greymon.
Yeah.
Is it?
If you
He's
count
When
shown
did
up
we have
twice
Greymons?
already.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean the silhouette War Greymon that was like
Yeah.
from the past?
Yeah.
If
Oh, okay,
that's
then.
what
I was
that
about
was,
to say, I don't think
I'm still waiting for my predictions, but
Yeah. Any more highlights or low light time? Because I'm ready to go to low lights, even though, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my low lights, again, from this episode are very much like things that I don't like about the show in general. Like, it's not
Same.
something that's unique to this episode. Like, as I said, like, it is the giant Easter egg that you crack open only to find it's just a hollow Easter egg with nothing inside it. Like, there's no, like, it's not even a giant Easter egg full of small Easter eggs. It's just a hollow shell. It's a chocolate shell, which, yes, the shell is nice. You can eat the shell, but there's nothing on the inside. It's like, it only goes so deep. There's only, like, a thin layer of chocolate and then just emptiness in the middle. And you can enjoy the thin layer, but once you get past the thin layer, there's just nothing, right?
yeah.
Which is a shame.
On that note, a low light for me is that we're doing this weird dog-eat-dog evolution world. But in that world, we have Vegemon commanding Allomon, who could just, like, eat Vegemon in a bite.
Yeah, like, that is a weird Digimon to choose leading an army.
It's a weird choice, especially since, like, the last time we saw that was when they were working as, SS for Ken. And I would believe it if we were supposed to believe that these are some sort of organized army, but at least if that's true, they don't speak English or Japanese, they just use random squeaks. It's a weird decision
weird.
in this world that they've set up that I wish we could get some world building to know if this means anything.
I feel like the dub could really improve this.
I do too. I was talking about that in the Discord. I really think that a clever dub could turn things around, especially if the plot eventually goes somewhere. Like, you could do some character building in all this silence.
Like, you could definitely add lines and make it like, I've mentioned this before, but the prequel movie doesn't really have a lot going on. It's just Bolero and Digimon attacking noises. And
In
then
fairness,
the
I
dub came
dig it.
along and actually made it, like, they made it funny. Like, that they filled in all the silence and times you couldn't see the mouths move.
And made
This
Hikari
show
an
could
interesting
do with-
character for a minute.
Yeah, if they just made her just a quietish girl, but still with some sort of, like, semblance of a character or something, I'd be like, yeah, this is good. So I feel like a dub could really fix this. I know a lot of people are very incredibly anti-dub, but I'm just like, you can actually make a good dub. You can actually make things that are boring in the original much better in a dub. So I hope this gets a dub on the basis of just, like, they would make Vegemon have such a personality. It would put every character in this show to shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other lowlights?
That we got to War Greymon before we've seen Tailmon?
Yeah, that feels a little bit weird. Again, the fact that we didn't get an update to where Hikari's going, and I feel like because we're doing Millenniumon next episode, I'm worried that Skull Knightmon's just trying to feed her to Millenniumon.
Yeah,
That Skull Knightmon or
I feel like this is
Or-
a real point at which they can still turn the show around and go, yeah, that was a rough patch, but, here we did have some good ideas for the plot. We just had to, like, take a bit to get there. But if they fuck this up, it's just gonna be bad.
I mean, what would be good is that, like, Millenniumon is actually coming to where the other kids are, and Skull Knightmon is just getting Hikari away. That could happen.
That could be
but it'd be weird
interesting.
because Skull Knightmon was still trying to, like, corrupt the egg of Patamon. So that'd be like, maybe she became good when she saw Hikari. I don't know. There's a few ways that they could fix this,
we don't know how a corrupted Patamon would have acted. Presumably, might still have been Takeru's partner. Like, that could work.
Yeah. I don't know. At this point, I don't have a lot of, like, hopes for this show to redeem itself.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because at the start, this show seemed like it could go to a lot of good places, but it just never really did anything, which is sad.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to
the highest score
too much
given
on
in the
this
last
for
15
things that we've
episodes
talked
is
about
4.
every episode. I'm sorry, Stevie, what was that?
The highest score I've given in the last 15 episodes is a 4. I've only given that twice.
I think that's all of us, though. Like, okay, the past 15 episode I did give a 4.5 and a 4.75, but yeah.
You've given a lot more 4s and 3s than I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mostly 2s and 2.5s.
So can I get into my sort of hope prediction idea that I think kind of pulls some of this together?
Yeah, sure, unless you want to save it to the overall predictions part in the outro.
Yeah, I guess my question is, I guess we can wait for that. I always feel like predictions should be right here, but that's fine.
Okay, so we'll just move on to
I'll
favorite
move on,
character
yeah.
then for now?
Sure.
Okay, my favorite character was Taichi, because the show said it should be Taichi. And what about you, Stevie? Who was your favorite?
I like Vegemon, because Vegemon was a traitor to the cause of the plant Digimon. And used his intelligence to wean his way into the Dino army.
Oh, that would have been so good if we actually had, like, Woodmon maybe, and this is something that the dub could fix, is just like Woodmon saying, "Oh, Vegemon, no, you were our friend, you were, like, one of our closest friends, like, well, why would you do this to us?" That would have been such a good path to go down.
Instead, it's implied subtext.
I don't think it's even implied. He's just screaming. Like, there's no plot there. He's just screaming at Alomon.
Just the fact that he's a plant Digimon in the dinosaur army that's hunting down plant Digimon does say a bit.
Yeah, like, Vegemon are just always, like, capo. They're
awful, yeah.
They're just always cops.
I 100% do not expect that to be what they were intending. Like, that feels too deep. Like,
it does, but
I
it's
don't
sure
expect
accurate.
That. Yeah, it's very accurate, but I don't think it's
Vegemon.
intended. But
No.
I mean, I didn't even get that interpretation. But yeah, that is good. That's now my headcanon that he betrayed them. But we're never going to get anything. The show's never going to tell us that.
This background
Vegemon
has more of a backstory than any of the kids in the show.
He has more personality than Hikari on the basis of, like, he didn't even speak any, like, legible words. Like, he didn't speak in Japanese or English or anything. But despite that, he still managed to say more than Hikari with his screams.
You're not wrong. And more
Quinn,
than Lotmon.
More than Lotmon. More than any character, basically. And Quinn, who will we choosing as the favourite character for this time?
I went with the Asbestos Rainforest.
Oh no, we're doing inanimate objects?
We are.
What? Where's the asbestos come from?
Because the rainforest gets nuked and is fine. It also survived a fire.
Yep. That is true. That is very, I can't believe that, like, there's no damage to the forest afterwards.
In the chat are 2 seconds apart.
Yeah, I know. You could say that that's a different part of the forest, but that's not how. As an Australian, I can confirm that that's not how fires be.
Yep.
Fires actually spread.
Yeah.
I'm definitely taking those screenshots for the Twitter account because.
Thank you.
Like,
good. I always take it as such a compliment when I say something funny enough in a DM to get it stolen as a Twitter.
Yeah, I'm always stealing for the Twitters, but that's definitely a thing that happens to the forest. And basically, we noticed it, like, last week as well. Just like there's no lasting collateral damage at all.
Not
which
even
is
to
weird.
a shirt.
Like, I know you can say, "Oh, that's just digital world weirdness," but at some point, it's just like, no, that's just laziness.
It's really bad. Like, the fire looked terrible. This explosion looked cool, but then I was expecting to see a crater, not the sun rising upon a perfectly fine forest.
I mean, it's a really nice nice shot, the one with the sun rising. That is
Yeah,
pretty.
like it's a
but-
nicely done shot. It's just like I'm
Oh, it's
pretty
really
sure I'm
nice.
supposed to believe these are the same trees.
Like, it just put in a crater, that's all you need.
Yeah, put Yamcha in the middle of it and call it a day.
Yeah, that's doable. So, yeah, what about rating for this episode? I think I went too high again this week. I gave it a 3 on the basis that 3 is what I tend to give an episode for kind of just being good on the, like, okay on the surface, even if it's hollow. Like, I just sort of gave it a 3. I was fine. Stevie, what are we rating this episode?
I've not given anything less than a 2 yet, so I'm giving this a 1.
Wow. And,
I've
Quinn?
lost patience for the show.
That's
Yeah.
fair. It is very, like, I'm also, like, even though the last few episodes were okay, this one's definitely like, oh no, we're back on the... That seems to be the theme. Like, we'll go, like, high-ish ratings of, like, 3.5s and 4s, and then we'll immediately start dropping to 2s and 3s. I don't know.
I can't remember last week's episode, but I swear this just feels like the same episode.
It was, Metal Greymon couldn't do it and Garudamon showed up, and for that I gave it a good score, just because, for once Metal Greymon couldn't do a thing and needed to be saved by Garudamon, and I felt that was like a good point, a good episode just because that happened. But also, I was just recovering from whiplash and had a lot of pain medication, so I was also enjoying a lot of things. Alright, Quinn, what are we giving this episode?
I am also giving it a 1, and I was debating going lower.
Woof.
But I'm gonna
that's
save
definitely,
that
like...
because Digimon has managed to keep disappointing me.
Yeah, what does that give us? That actually gives us, like, I think the lowest ranking that we've had. What did we give episode 18? Episode 18 we gave... Somehow, this is now the worst episode according to our overall ranking.
I would believe that. I mean, it's the
But
same
I
as
feel
18, where we pulled out a super powerful Digimon and did not make anybody care about it.
But this one was, like, I would argue a little bit better than that, but that's fine. We'll put that on the bottom as our, for our overall ranking. And I'm guessing, Stevie and Quinn, am I putting that in the bottom for both of your rankings?
Yeah, this goes bottom.
Okie dokie. Wow, my 3 seems completely undeserved now. At least it's an easy ranking that I just sort of put it at the bottom for everyone. I put it at, in, like, 22nd place, just because, like, it was... Actually, I think I might move that down just a little bit, because I'm looking at some other episodes, and, like, episode 19 was a lot better. I think I should probably give it the bottom of the 3s.
Yeah, of
so,
my
like...
list, you know, the real one that made me question was my bottom one was Dive to the Next Ocean, where we just fell off a cliff for half an hour, and somehow this was
so
worse than
bad.
that, and I feel like that's deserved.
Yeah, I have moved it to 27th place because I was just looking at the other things that I gave 3s. I'm like, no, this is definitely the worst out of all the 3s.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoyed this episode more than Dive to the Next Ocean because that episode just sort of like annoyed me in terms of
That's fair. This one
things
had
that were
wasted
happening.
potential that annoyed me to a degree.
Oh, yeah,
that
I would
just
agree.
falling off the cliff bored me to tears.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer to be like bored and annoyed than just sort of like kind of like disappointed, but that's just me. But yeah,
That's
so
valid.
I've it's still a 3 for me, but I've moved it down in my ranking to be like 4th from the bottom. Actually, yeah, it's in 27th place, so 4th from the bottom.
That's fair.
Mega should be a
But
big
just-
deal, not a random episode against Parrotman.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just happy Parrotmon's there. I'm happy the Garudamon was sort of there at the start. I'm just like, it was, again, the surface was okay, but as soon as you start, like, digging into it, it's just hollow and empty and makes me very disappointed. But that's me, yeah. Are we ready to move on to the questions, or do we have any other thoughts?
I'm just looking
so I
up,
will go
when
ahead
was
and
it
give-
that Davis got Imperial Dramon?
Like, episode 26? What? I don't know. Wait, Paildramon or Imperial Dramon? Because
Imperial
Paildramon was
Dramon.
like episode 20. Oh, Imperial Dramon, that was like
That was in Draymond Power.
40?
Episode 39.
Yeah.
So we're 9 episodes ahead of that with War Greymon.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. It's not too far ahead.
No,
It's a
it
lot.
is wild to
I think.
realize that we're only about halfway through the series.
Yep, there are 36 episodes, and I have to go, and I've no idea. Like, the only thing I can think of is that we're going to just do a 0-2. Like, we're done with Adventure in 10 episodes from now, and then we just jump into 0-2. That's all I can think of that they're going to do for the next 36 episodes.
Alright, so I think I solved it, and I want to pitch my idea, and
Okay, pitch it.
so what I think we're doing is we actually are maybe going to do a little bit of our double down on the multiverse, have Mireille and Rio show up potentially. And I think what we're doing is following Digimon World rules. And the reason we got Mugendramon and then that wasn't like a big world-ending deal was that alternate branching paths are just a thing. And soon-ish, after everyone has gotten to Mega, I feel like we're going to start actually seeing the kids branch off intentionally. And potentially, like I said, bring in some other characters who have done Digimon World stuff, like Mireille, like Rio, and do some of that, which, like, I feel like if you were going to do that and do it well, you would have needed to set this up a little bit before now, but I don't think it's the worst idea they've ever had if they actually go through with it.
Yeah, I can't really say what I feel about that on the basis that, like, the Colon Digivice toy has, like, a bunch of stuff that we already know about it. So I do know the answer to that, but so I can't really say it because it's a spoiler for both the Digivice toy as well as this season.
Huh. Alright, well,
Alternate Digivolutions
I am somewhat
sounds...
on the right idea.
Yeah, alternate Digivolution sounds like a neat idea, but so does having characters, and I would much rather have that to just more Digivolutions.
I agree. I just...
Yeah, I mean,
I think
I'm
that's
not
at
looking
least...
forward to the next 36 episodes.
Yeah, on the mechanical side, I keep questioning how are we going to bring in more evolutions, because I don't think we're wasting War Greymon if we're done halfway through, and I feel like that's the obvious answer, is just have a different crest show up on their Digivice sometime.
Right.
I feel like we got War Greymon today just so we can lose to the big bad next week to show us how bad the big bad is.
Yeah, that seems... I think we're going to do another, like... I think the characters are going to remain split up for the rest of our evolution arc. I think Sora is now split up from Taichi because she needs to have her own evolution arc.
Yeah, Taichi's going to get
maybe
smacked
not...
down.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know if we're going to go evolution arc or evolution episode. I hope it's going to be evolution arc, because that'd be nice to know more about the other characters, and this was Taichi's evolution arc, but I'm not super expecting it.
I would like it if
would be pretty
like
down
the other
if
characters
Taichi
get
just
evolution episodes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My hope is that Taichi will just be the one to get kidnapped this time, and maybe Hikari and the others can, go off and do a training montage and, let Taichi not be on screen all the time for the next 30 episodes. At this point, I'm begging for a Matt episode.
Yeah, but that's just going to be like, I am mad because something TK something grown up. Like,
Yep.
I feel like that's all I'm going to get.
Maybe we'll finally find out if his parents are even divorced.
Maybe, but I don't think we are getting anything, ever.
Yep.
I'm pessimistic now. Anyway, do we have any other thoughts, or can I move on to the comments from the last episode?
No, I think that's my...
Can I just have a
prediction about the
whinge?
series.
Okay, Stevie, what's your whinge?
My whinge is just that Colin writes its characters like they are the cameo appearances of the Adventure Kids in 02.
Oh,
Yes.
Where they basically they rely on the memories of the characters from the original series more than actually writing anything interesting for them.
They don't need
And it's
to
very
learn
sad
lessons. They already
and
learned
boring.
lessons. Yeah.
We've just been giving Taichi from 02.
Yeah,
So
basically,
And, like,
yeah. But
That,
also...
that works for an episode in 02. It doesn't work for 60-something episodes of a brand new series where you're supposed to be able to go into it without any prior knowledge.
Yep.
But the thing is that, like... And the worst part of that is that, yeah, they do feel like you need to have prior knowledge about these characters, but this show is not meant to be made for people who have prior knowledge. This is meant for the kids of today that may have not seen the original adventure, so that makes it even worse in terms of you're not meant to know these characters. But that's just my interpretation of it, which is not good. Like, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love them to say, oh no, this was actually written for adults, but that also makes it really bad, so there's no way you can win.
Like, the Digimon are getting powerful really quickly in this series, and like, cool, great, we might get to see more Digimon. But the Digimon were always secondary to the kids. It was when the kids grew that the Digimon grew, but instead it's just the Digimon get bigger and the kids just go, we need to be more powerful to win. That's my character.
Sort of thing, because we have definitely asked for more character for the Digimon, and we got a little bit of that, but we gave up an awful lot to get it.
We gave up 6 side characters, and now we just have Taichi and Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
well.
I like how I said Taichi and Matt. Like, I got one of them Japanese and the other one English name.
I do that all the time.
That's fine. I do the same thing. I do the
I
same
turn
for
them around in my head all
Miyako and
the
Iori.
time.
Like I'll say
I'll say
Miyako and Cody.
Mm.
Like a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bring back the 02 kids. They had better written characters.
Well, in than this season, yes.
Yeah, I still think my idea is way more likely. I think if we were gonna get 02 kids, they'd have teased them at us by now.
Yeah.
I also think we'd have seen all their Digimon on the toys.
Ready to move on to the comments from the last episode? There weren't that many because I guess everyone's like on holidays and stuff, so we didn't get that many comments this time. Alright, so first up we have Anna Bear, who says, the episodes are getting good again. The episode makes them feel bad about beating up baby Digimon in the games, though. Kind of feel bad for them. Well, just don't beat up the baby Digimon, I guess. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like in Cyber Sleuth, when you have all the onslaught of these baby Digimon, you kind of just have to beat them. But yeah, so I get that. Next we have Rista21, who says, the new ending shows all the characters in different outfits doing activities. For Tukaru, he is fishing, but something doesn't look right and they can't put their finger on it. And then Rista continues, maybe it's the shoes that are too big on him. His shoes don't match his fishing outfit. And I would say, I feel like his clothes look like they're Yamato's, hand-me-downs. They all look too big. And then Ritsuta says, all the other characters are wearing color-coordinated outfits, but somehow something just seems off with Tukaru. Is it his shoes? Your thoughts? And yeah, I feel like it looks like he's just raided the cupboard. Like he's just grabbed random clothes out, which I guess kind of makes sense because I can't imagine a lot of 8-year-olds with some fashion, like if they were to dress themselves, I can't imagine them putting much color coordination in on it. It just feels like he just grabbed all of Yamato's or his dad's clothes or something and then just, that's just what he has.
It's a lot.
Alright everyone, so thank you for joining us this week. And next week you can join us we won't be covering Digimon because Digimon, I believe, is going on a 1-week hiatus for the holidays, unless I'm completely wrong. So instead of episode 31, A New Darkness Millenniumon, which is the next episode, we'll be filling in that time talking about the WonderSwan games and random lore, and I believe we're more or less just going to make Quinn drive that ship because Quinn has ideas and I will still edit, but I will be happy not to drive a ship for once.
Yeah.
Because the satellites will something take over the ship navigation something plot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought maybe we could talk about the WonderSwan games a bit. I would love it if someone could explain a little bit about how the card game worked, because I had a deck as a kid and never understood it. Just some few odds and ends, maybe some questions from reader mail about random lore. That would be cool.
Yeah, and but yeah, I don't think the card game has that much plot. I think Tamers gave it a lot of.
Oh no, I just meant I don't know anything about the rules either.
I don't think anyone does.
Fair.
Not like the English version at least. But, yeah, so, and the next time's episode for Digimon is called episode 31, A New Darkness Millenniumon. Do we have any predictions for this?
Please be Rio.
There will be Millenniumon.
I really want Rio to show up.
Apparently, every
I think
Hikari
that might just
stand-in
be
has to glow.
a holy Digimon. Maybe that's when she meets Patamon or something, I don't know. If we're going to do some lore plot, something, I don't know.
Yeah, that would
Is this
be an
actually
interesting
just
time to
Digimon
collect
Adventure
Urgent Evolutions
Frontier?
and just be like,
It
what's
is.
that?
I mean, I think that's something that we've said quite a bit, is that it is just Frontier, but adventure.
Mm-hmm. It's a very strange show that they've set up, and I want to be on board with it, but it's just been kind of poor execution on pretty much all the ideas so far.
Oh, absolutely. Which is sad, because they could do so much, but they're not.
I predict disappointment.
I don't even have any predictions overall. I'm just like, I hope it's better than what we've had so far. That'd be really, really nice if they could actually do something that's not terrible. But I don't expect them to, which is really sad.
The best thing to come out of this show is the podcast we're doing on it.
Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad.
It has been 20 episodes of me kind of holding my breath, waiting for the plot to start happening and for characters to get to talk, and it sure feels, I mean, we tried to do that at the beginning of this episode when we had everyone on cell phones, and we just said, hey, keep looking into NASA being a weird thing. Oh no, we're crashing the ISS. Anyway, let's concentrate on anything else.
I hope we
Yeah,
eventually come back to Joe and he's just really wrinkled in that hot spring.
Yeah, like, Joe is having a wild time. Why can't we have checked up on Joe?
Yeah, and Mimi's grabbing lots of gems. That's
How
nice.
much time has passed if Hikari
Mimi's
is still
doing the
just
Spyro
randomly
impression.
standing on Dark Male Dramon?
A long time, like 3 episodes. I don't know. I hope that we get something with Hikari, though. I hope it's good. I hope it's better than what we've had. I'd like something to be, like, in the top 5 of our overall ranking, because the highest, most recent episode is 28, and that's in 10th place on our overall ranking. Like, so far our overall ranking is, like, the best episode in our overall was episode 14, which is the King of Insects Clash. Then episode 15, the Zudamon's Iron Hammer of Lightning. And then in 3rd place was episode 12, Lilymon Blossoms. Episode 6, that's how, like, we've still got an episode from the first, like, chunk of episodes, the Targeted Kingdom. And then episode 16 and episode 17. And then episode 1, which is in, like, which is in 7th place. And then episode 9, and then episode 2, and then episode 7, and then finally episode 28. And then episode 8 is after that. So I feel like I would like an episode to be, like, in the top 5. I need something to, like, at least be better than episode 6 or episode 1, because it feels weird that we haven't had a good episode since the first, like, chunk of episodes.
It feels really weird that we started this show so cautiously optimistic, and very quickly it proved that our optimism was a bad idea.
Yeah, like, we weren't even that optimistic, though. We still had, like, low expectations. We were still, and I think we were just enjoying it because it was pretty decent. But, I don't know, I feel like we had our expectations low and we were still disappointed. Like, I never, like, expect a lot from Digimon. Like, I want, and that's probably why I enjoyed Atmon so much, because I expected so little from Atmon, and then Atmon just surprised me and was just surprisingly good, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I just, be better, Digimon. Please. Just put like some effort in. Put like half as much effort in as your fans do.
Right?
Please.
You can even keep doing this, like, technically animated manga thing, and I'll stick with it. Like, I'll make fun of some of the animation errors, but that's fine. But please put some effort into the writing.
Oh yeah, I do not mind animation errors as long as the plot's good. Like, I'll point them out in, like, a haha, look at that, but I won't, like, it'll never hinder, like, my actual enjoyment, and I'll never give an episode a bad rating because the animation is bad. Like, it'll be something I bring up, but it'll never actually hurt how much I enjoy an episode. It'll just give me something to chuckle about later on. And also, like, in this episode, there was this weird, like, shot of Greymon, and he looks, like, weirdly buff. Like, it's when he's just standing there in the middle, the center of the screen, the Alomon are about to, like, charge at him, but he just looks weirdly buff, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's funny. But yeah, I will never, like, have, like, a negative B, the animation is bad, and it'll never actually affect my score overall.
A negative for me is a little bit that we have these weird zoom-ins on Digimon Crotch.
I did not realize that is a thing.
No, in terms of, like, we've compared this a lot to Frontier, and that has both good and bad aspects, and we're really copying some of the worst ones, because a thing that really made Frontier have difficulties is just, like, I can't, until pretty late in the series, tell you what the kid's goal is, because they're like, we gotta find the spirits, because, I don't know, that sounds cool. Then we gotta find Ophanimon, because, you know, she asked us to. Then we gotta go deal with Cherubimon, which doesn't take that long, and then we gotta lose a bunch of fights forever. And, like, the kids don't have an internal goal. They don't have something they're working toward, except for Koichi, I guess?
I guess.
Yeah, like, none of these kids... Taichi cared about his sister and his mom, and then forgot that he had either one of them.
But that's normal for his family.
No one has a family.
Anyway, yeah, I'm just hoping it gets better. And that's it's not even a prediction. I'm just like, I just want it to be better. I'm predicting that I'll be disappointed. I'm predicting that Hikari is just being brought to Millenniumon to be eaten, which I don't want that at all. I want Skull Knightmon to be Tailmon or something, or Skull Knightmon to be Wizardmon, and for Black Maldramon to be Tailmon or something good. But I don't think we're going to get that. I think it's just going to be Millenniumon shows up and defeats the children really easily. Hopefully captures Taichi. Hopefully he's unable to do anything and needs to be rescued. But I doubt that's going to happen because he's the main character. And we only have 2 of those, remember? Alright, so you can find the link linked in the description. And our Redbubble's also linked there too. And you can get more than just shirts there, like masks or mugs or what have you. You can contact us and stay updated. Email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com. And you can do this now because I successfully finished upgrading the website where it's now on a much faster server, so hopefully it should be a lot faster to run. And you can comment on that on our website or message us on our website, LostinTranslationmon.com. And you can also find our 2020 episode ranking too. I've linked it in the banner. You can also follow us at LostinTranslationmon on Twitter, which we usually post like lots of screenshots, and whenever we upload a video or an episode, you can see that on our Twitter. And you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a red thread in the Digimon subreddit, and would appreciate if you view us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast app that you use, as ratings assist people finding out about the podcast. You can also donate to our Patreon, which linked in the description. I did so well until linked in the description. There's something hard to say about that word, but I did it last week though. I don't know how.
You're getting better.
So you can do that I'm getting better. I'm definitely getting better. So you can do that. You can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description. There we go. I did it. From as little as $1 a month. And that gets you access to a listed Discord server, but there are higher levels, more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Joe, Stephen Reeves, who's Wallwing64 on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who you can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Kyle, Lismet, who's a Lekmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Madon Maimon, Sam, Spiral, Keith from Gone Will Hunting, a Hunter x Hunter rewatch podcast, Silverhead Freak 25, Magnus, Lucas, Blindman, and Japhus. And if you want to find another way to support us, besides our Redbubble or Patreon, you can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, on the PayPal, which can be linked in the description. It's paypal.me/airdramon. And you can also donate to me on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/airdra. So that was that. I did stumble and flub a few times, but not too bad. Better than it was. Not as good as last week though. But hey, that's Digimon in general, right? Anyway, so thank you for listening, and also thank you to Quinn and Stevie for joining me. Quinn, can we find you anywhere on the internet or just on the Moncast and on this show?
Just on the Moncast and on this show, and then I have some things to pitch to y'all later.
Yay, I like being pitched at.
Ooh, ooh.
And Stevie, where can we find you?
You can find me here when I turn up, and over on the Moncast when I edit.
Yay! So, yes, that's it for this episode. So, thanks for listening, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!
Bye!